does our water come from? And does Cal-Am have any responsibility for environmental damage?
They don't have any environmental responsibilities directly. When they do, they pass it on to the Water Management District, pay for it, but the Water Management District does that. Damage to the river, Cal-Am. This is our water company. Cal-Am, they bought the system in 1966. The source of water was Carmel River. Overpumped it with no plan for a replacement supply. Until the state says, you can't do that anymore. Quit killing the river, get a new water supply. Then they moved over to the Seaside Basin. There's a basin there, freshwater basin. They overpumped that. Court case said, stop doing that, stop killing the basin, get us a new water supply. Their next step was to have a big partnership project. And then Cal-Am was the one that pulled out. There was a regional project that had DSAL and different public partners and so on, and this was up in Marina. And Cal-Am pulled out of that. Now their latest one is, we're going to go to Marina and take their water. Now just remember what happened. They took Carmel River water to the point that they can't take it anymore. They took Seaside Basin water to the point they can't take it anymore. And now they're going into Marina and saying, we want your water. Marina didn't invite them in. They're not in any partnership with Marina. But they're saying, we want your water. And Marina's saying, hey, we need our water for ourselves. We didn't invite you in. Look what you've done in the past. We don't want you in our area. They're fighting tooth and nail to get rid of Cal-Am and their current project.
What do you think about pure water, recycled water? And will it actually work?
There's a lot of science around that process because they know where it's coming from. They know you normally don't drink it, and they know you have to fix it up or clean it up or all the process. There's a number of procedures that they go through to clean it up, and then it's tested, and then it goes into our systems. This recent spill has raised a lot of questions about, really? I mean, that's the kind of water we're going to be dealing with? Well, it is in the original stage, but most of our water, whole Mississippi River is full of water downstream taken off people's sewer systems upstream.
What were the reasons the business community opposed Measure O?
Well, they said that we were going to interfere with their ability, Cal-Am's ability to get a new water supply. I don't think we did anything to interfere with their ability to get a water supply, but they still haven't gotten a water supply, and they're still headed to court on getting it all resolved. And I don't see, that's why the reclaimed water has got permits, does have approvals. They're moving ahead doing that. Cal-Am is still hung up on their desal.
And was that their only objection?
That was their main objection. We don't know what we're doing, and we're going to interfere with the water supply. And Cal-Am, remember the binoculars? They said, we can see a water solution in the future. Well, the binoculars are going to come back. I think we're going to still say that.
If the initiative is approved, does that pre-approve the purchase of Cal-Am after the Water Management District does a feasibility study?
The sequence is in that order, but not because we control the order. That is the order we go with. If we can get the feasibility study done, we're convinced the feasibility study will say public ownership is better than continuing with Cal-Am. We're convinced it's going to say that for all sorts of reasons. But that's just, we're convinced of it because of our own research. We're convinced of that. But that's the extent of it. Once they do the study, then our petition says, if it's feasible, proceed. The feasible decision is made by the water district. We can't control that. We can just present them with the information. And it's up to them to decide whether it's feasible or not. And I just think it's going to be cost related, time related, and then all the democratic principles I think apply with local ownership.
Will 34% of current Cal-Am revenue be available to pay off the bonds used to purchase Cal-Am?
We think that, I don't know exactly how it would work. All we know is that this is what's being in your bill right now. And it shouldn't be in your future bill of public ownership. So take this out of the equation for what it's used for, rent, and use it to pay the mortgage. It's going to have to be a big bond issue to knock it. And if I said it's $200 million or whatever it is, it'll be a $2 million bond issue. How do you pay for that? Same amount of money that has been paying for rent will pay for your mortgage.
How did Cal-Am's profit get so big?
They're allowed to collect 10% on a number that's in the calculations. We don't have all those calculations. All we have is this and this. But the 10%'s in here. But they make home. But they say we're only allowed, which is true, we're only allowed to collect 10% profit. Well, what's the other 20% you're collecting? What do you call that? Well, it's 10% profit, and then they'll say net operating revenue. They'll say, all we're saying is they get it and they take it home. We don't see anything from it. And that's our only argument we have, because that's all the information we were able to get. But we got it because we dug for it. We had to dig for it. We had Public Record Act request data to get from the PUC in order to round out these numbers. So they're hard to get. But it is true that we expect this which goes to rent will start to go to the bond issue. And we'll only do that if the final decision by the district to say, yes, it's feasible, let's proceed, then you go to the negotiating on price. If it comes out to be $1.5 billion to do this, we won't do it. We won't do it. They won't do it. We won't even advocate anymore. We tried, we've done it, if it doesn't work, go home. We're convinced the value is going to be in the range of around $200 million. And all we're saying is, if you put this into a bond accounting system, this kind of money, this is in the neighborhood of $20 million a year. I can pay off a big bond. And you don't pay both. You don't pay one on top of the other. You pay one or the other. You have to go through the whole process, spend money to do it. When you get there, you pay off whatever your legal costs were, and whatever the sale price is, and you'll have a bond issue. It'll be a 30-year bond. We're guessing 30-year bond. Some of our discussion with the water district is that 30-year bond is pretty common for big acquisitions.
Who will operate the water system if it becomes public?
Our petition is for the Water Management District to take this action. They were the ones that would go to court. They were the ones that would conduct the feasibility study. They were the ones that have to make the decision. It's a 7-member board, all elected. Full control. That's what you do. I mean, I prefer them to make a decision rather than Cal-Am making a decision. And if they decide, and if the information is enough, or public dialogue around it convinces them that it's feasible, we're convinced that it will be. For all sorts of reasons. We're convinced it will be feasible. If they agree with us, I mean, after they do the study, if they agree it's feasible, our petition requires, just to your point, if it's feasible, and they make that decision, it'll be a vote of 7 members. 4-3, 5-2, 7-0. If they agree that it's feasible, our petition says, you must proceed. You can't just stop at that point and say, yeah, we'll think about it next year. No. If it's feasible, and you have a report that justifies it, and you vote to say it's feasible, you will proceed right away with negotiations in the other domain. So we're just saying we're not going to wait 10 more years for you to make up your mind when you do it.
So it's the water district that will decide who will operate the system?
Yes. Yes.
How is the feasibility study funded?
It'll be by the district. It'll cost in the neighborhood of $400,000. And we have about 40,000 customers. And if, that's what we've heard, $400,000. And it would be $10 on your bill. 40,000 customers pay $10 once you do the study. We think that's worth it to get the information. We don't know what the outcome is. We hope we know what the outcome is. We think we have the information that supports moving in that direction. But it's not our decision. All we can do is push this before. The district was formed right after there was a drought in the late 70s. There was all sorts of people upset with Cal-Am at the time. They just started cutting back rationing, and people get upset with that. That's kind of normal. But the reaction at that time was, we need a check on Cal-Am. That was the argument. They created the district in '78 with all the powers to buy Cal-Am, operate the system, be in the district or outside the district, contract, however, handle all the legal stuff and so on, do everything they needed to do in order to run a water system. It was created with that purpose. Sam Farr, just recently, he was involved in the early drafting of the Water Management District law. And he said they were expected at that time to proceed toward an acquisition. Because Cal-Am had only bought it in '66. They didn't have a long time history here. They just had mishandled or whatever, unfortunately, the drought problem. But people were upset around the drought, and they were blaming Cal-Am. And so there was an effort to buy Cal-Am at that time. The option they chose was, let's create an agency that has that opportunity, that has the potential to do that, has the power to do that. And so they did that. They've never done it. We're saying, we think the evidence is enough. Cal-Am is such a poor performer. We don't trust them anymore. They're high cost. You know, the only water supply they've been promoting in the past has always been the highest cost water supply in the world. Desal is the highest cost water anywhere in the world. A lot of people are doing it because they're in arid areas or desert areas and it's the only water they have. But it is the most expensive water around. And Cal-Am didn't look at low-hanging fruit or other options. Cal-Am goes big. Cal-Am likes big. Infrastructure costs is a big money maker for them. And that's the dilemma we feel too. Why go after the most expensive water when there are other options, which are the reclaimed water things? The whole state supports reclaimed water. They think every drop of water that's used ought to be reused and reused and reused. Instead of just dumping it to the ocean, then you go get it some other way or wait for it to rain. Use it. You already have it in your system. All you need to do is kind of move it through a cleaning process. You already have it. Mainly sewer water. And it's cleaned up all the time. Nature cleans it up. Man's been able to do the science to make it clean it up a lot faster than nature does.
Wasn't the water district supposed to find more water? And why do some people not trust the water district?
And I do agree that the Water Management District was expected to do something along one of two lines. Create new water supply or buy Cal-Am. I mean, that was the motivation at the time. You're right, they haven't done anything big in water supply. They've done a lot of small things in water supply. And one of the images they have is being water police, and they still suffer from that in the 2000, 2005 area, whatever that was, the water police. But that was because, I mean, it's my interpretation, but in '99, the state, Fred Keeley was our assemblyman, he sponsored legislation to say the PUC must force a water solution on our community, which meant Cal-Am, because that's the only jurisdiction they have. And Cal-Am was dragging their heels about doing anything. Meantime, the demand on reducing water use was in place, so they instituted all sorts of water police things. You cannot add a bathroom, you cannot add a bedroom, you cannot add this or that or whatever. You can't convert from a low use to a high use. You can't add a second sink. They became the water police because the demand on the entire community was there's just things you can't do. The moratorium was in place. The moratorium was spread. It went into place in 2007. But the Water Management District was the place that tried to do all that. But also low-flow toilets, low-flow showers, low-flow washing machines. They became the real advocate for that. So what we had before was a high-use system, a lot of water. We're now almost half. We went from like 16,000 acre-feet to about 9,000 acre-feet, something like that. It's not quite half, but anyway. We're on a flat water use these days. Partly because of CDO, but also a lot of it's permanent because a lot of the facilities now use less water. People are habitually using less water. But you're right, but in the water management's defense, there are 5 water supply projects that they've been involved in, granted small, compared to Cal-Am's what? 3 failures, I call them 3 failures, and another one that's in trouble. But Cal-Am has 5, the Water District has 5 projects. The Pebble Beach Reclamation Project was to get all the Pebble Beach golf courses off of potable water. They have a very similar project with Pacific Grove to get their golf course and cemetery off of potable water, reducing the use. That use is not going to come back. So we've got, so from 17,000 up to 9, we have reduced our demand, the comfort zone for demand. They pioneered winter runoff water from Carmel River. They asked Cal-Am, do you want to go together on this project? They said, no, you do what you need to do. And talk to us later. Well, they pioneered it, got it going. Now Cal-Am's part of it. So Cal-Am has not been a leader on this. The Water Management District has tried, granted not as aggressively as I would have liked, but now we're saying it's our only agency in town that has the authority to do it, the charge to do it, if they decide to do it. And we think they can't do it. Water is not, it's not rocket science. Every agency, I mean, every community in the entire state, the entire country, has some kind of water system. You run pumps, you find a supply, you get it, you clean it, you send it, you make repairs, you service people, you bill them for it, whatever. It's not rocket science. So it's not like we're asking anything new. We are asking, why can't we be like those other people who have more affordable water, we think?
Will the cost of water go down with public ownership?
It's not. It's going to go up.
Right.
Will public ownership reduce new capital expenses?
Well, in capital costs, we have capital costs right now. It's in a corporate structure, and corporate bonds will cost 6.5%, something like that. Public bonds cost in the neighborhood of 4%. Whenever you do a comparison of public versus private, you can do this. You can do your own research. You can do all sorts of studies. There are a lot of studies out there. There are two things that they generally say. One is public better than private, or private better than public? Yeah, it's kind of a wash. You'll get some studies that say one, you get some studies that say the other, but in general they say, yeah, it's really hard to really say one's better than the other. So that's just the quality of the people they have, and just the community relations and all that stuff, and the efficiency in just running pumps and pipes. They're all about the same. There's one distinct difference that's in the public's favor. Whenever there's infrastructure improvements, big projects, public bond financing at 4% saves you loads and loads of bucks off of corporate financing at 6%. But corporate also has their profit on top of it. So just like I said, there are things in this category that add to the cost of corporate infrastructure. And so getting back to your comment about water supply or desal and so on, we support desal. We just don't support Cal-Am's desal because they picked the most expensive way to do it. They're invading another jurisdiction, they're going to get litigated. They're trying to use slant wells, which is the most expensive way to get water anyway. They have the patent holder of the technology they're using sitting in the evaluation position on whether this works or not. I mean, just a complete conflict of interest. We just think, how can you trust Cal-Am? How can you believe? How can you just blindly say, nah, they're doing the best they can. Well, it's okay. We have reasons why we're raising these questions. And we just think, Cal-Am said, slant wells, okay? This is the water, this is the land. They said, and the state wanted to do this too. They wanted slant wells to go under the bay so they could get water that kind of filters through the sand, and then they would extract it, and there's not a water rights problem, a legal issue. There's not a water rights problem. What did Cal-Am do? They kind of moved everything back. Now they're taking water, largely not just a touch under, maybe 15% under, but most of their water is being taken under the land. The land has very distinct legal issues around anybody who takes water under land. You have a right to drill down, supposedly you do have a right to drill down, but you've always been preempted by a lot of other things. Anyway, a landowner has a right to what's underneath. If you're not using it, you get a permit. Cal-Am's, if they were taking water under the ocean, they didn't need a permit. So what Cal-Am do? For some reason, they backed everything up, said they would still take it under the ocean. They didn't. We know specifically they're taking water right at the ocean's edge. All the water they're taking is under land, which even compounds the legal problem. But it's not just what Marina Coast wants for their water use, it's they don't have a right to the water that they're taking. It's a water rights issue. It's a legal issue. So we say, Cal-Am, you said one thing. You told all the public agencies, this is what you were gonna do. And then they back it up. All the public agencies like what they said, but none of them care about what happens next. Cal-Am's on their own about trying to figure this out. Lawsuits, I mean, they're threatening. We know that. We know the parties that are gonna threaten them. They've already said that.
What happens if the Water Management District does not do a good job?
If this were to succeed and it were to go that way, the Water Management District would probably be the most important public agency in our area. Anyway, I just trust local control more than I trust corporate control at a distance.